Welcome to the Bass and Brews podcast, your weekly distraction from other high-quality podcasts. And now, your host, Alex from Swamp Rat Fishing, and the co-hostess with the mostest, the Jabberhammer, Paul Roberts.
Oh, you started with a hidden glass? What are you, Stone Cold Steve Austin?
I mean, maybe if I didn't look like a jelly roll.
That's true. What's up, everybody? It's Friday, and that means it's Bass and Brews time. I like the dead air. Solid work, Paul. I waited till Paul took a drink. If you guys aren't watching us.
Great intro, Alex. Way to fuck it up starting off.
I do what I can. If you guys aren't watching us, you guys just missed us on YouTube as Paul was. I waited to segue right when he was trying to drink some White Claw Surge or gout clearing medicine or whatever he's drinking in his cup. But it's Friday, and we've got another awesome episode. I already know it's going to be awesome. This is going on with this new thing. We kind of just explained it to the green room to Coach Powell, our guest here. But I feel like 2023 has been our stride in Bass and Brews. And by that, I mean, and I keep pumping it out on social media, this is the fishing show that isn't just about fishing. We're here to talk to anglers about whatever they want to talk about. And we're going to talk to the best anglers that you know. We're going to talk about the best anglers that you haven't met yet. And I'm excited for this one, Paul.
Hey, Alex, using the term stride in Bass and Brews isn't good because I'm pretty sure your little stubby leg stride is like it's a step, not a stride. Little short thing
I might be short, but at least I can stride. With how chubby you've gotten, I doubt you can waddle, let alone stride. So I don't want to hear that, Paul.
I walk 2.38 miles every day, almost. I missed yesterday. I'm losing weight. I'm going to get down to my fighting weight. My college playing days weight, a 220 is the first goal.
Yeah, that seems. Were you the what was that big that giant punter that played for the Raiders? Was that you?
No, you're thinking of the kicker. He wasn't a punter. He was a kicker. Janikowski.
Yeah, same thing.
Nope. And we'll get into that a little bit later because one time Coach Powell asked me to kick, and I said, Coach, I can't kick. He goes, what? Ain't you a kicker? I was like, no, man, I'm a punter. I can't kick. You want me to play quarterback or you can play any position on the field, but I can't kick. That's the only thing I can't do.
But you were a punter. That's the same thing. No, I got him right when he's drinking again. Yeah.
No, it's not because, they tried to teach me how to kick before this game. And our long snapper, Warren Green, during this JV game we played against Hargrave, ended up being the kicker. And I was the punter.
I'm saying you had the audacity to say that you could play quarterback, but you couldn't kick a field goal. Same thing.
No.
Yeah, same thing.
No.
Anyway,
not at all.
We've got Coach Powell on. This is a longtime friend of Paul. I'm excited about this episode because me and Coach here, even in the green room, I was like, hey, is it okay to call you Coach? Because as most people know, I'm a dirty degenerate. I never had a coach. I skateboarded and did shenanigans, so I never did a lot of team sports. And I don't know Coach very well, so I'm really excited for this episode to get to know him.
Yeah, this is awesome because not only do we have a Division I college football coach that has coached some awesome running backs in college, he's also an angler. I mean, how good is that get?
Yeah.
He coaches football half the year and fishes the other half. It don't get no better than that. Ain't that right, Coach?
Well, I wish it was half and half. It's probably 90-10.
90% fishing, 10% coaching.
No. And you cannot believe the amount of time we spend preparing spring practice the fall training camp, summer plan. It's not a lot of time for fishing. I was sitting here today, trying to figure out between now and June, I may get 15 days I can fish between now, which is not a lot. It's basically weekends, afternoons. So we don't get a lot of time on the water. We spend a lot of time working, more than people realize.
Y'all have spring ball coming up here in the next few weeks, right?
Yeah, spring ball starts Tuesday. Yeah.
Are y'all recruiting this time of year? Is it a soft period, or how does that work?
You recruit year round, but we're not actively going on the road recruiting. We're not. This is a dead period. Actually, a quiet period now, as of March 1st. So kids can come on your campus now, but we cannot see kids face to face off campus.
So Paul, it's out of the question. You're not getting recruited.
Look, I got 1 year eligibility left, I think. Damn, coach, it's like that. No, I don't know. You don't want no 40. You don't know the 40-year-old punter on campus.
Yeah, I don't want me playing either. I don't want me playing for me either. So no, I want an 18-year-old kid, the 19-year-old kid that can fly.
Well, that was never ball. So
well, coach, what's the journey that's got you here? I know you're from South Carolina.
Yeah.
You played ball at Indiana University back in the late 80s.
Right.
What's the journey that's got you to here where you at now? Oh,
man, it's been a long journey. It don't seem like a long journey now, but when you look back and start thinking about it, it's a long journey. So, yeah, I'm from South Carolina. In fact, now I'm down on my parents' farm. I came down here for spring break. My dad has a farm right here on Broad River. My 91-year-old dad farms all the time. In fact, this afternoon we had to go get the tractor because he flipped a big John Deere riding mower. He was cutting some grass near the ditch and flipped it. But anyway, so I left after I got to Indiana, after I graduated from Indiana. Well, let me say, after my eligibility was up, I didn't redshirt, so I needed another year to graduate. So I was a student assistant at Indiana. Then I was a graduate assistant at Indiana for just one semester. And then I got a graduate assistant job offered to me at University of South Carolina, but it didn't start until May. And I left Indiana in January of that year, and I volunteered at North Carolina A&T State. So then I went to South Carolina, and I was a GA. I was there for 1 year, and then I left there, and I went to the United States Military Academy in West Point, New York. It was a position called part-time coach, and basically you're a graduate assistant for the varsity team, but you coach the JV team. We had a full schedule as a JV team. So after being there a year, I went to VMI and coached running backs. And after a year there, I went to the University of Rhode Island for several years, where I met my wife. I left University of Rhode Island and went back to West Point, and then had a great year at West Point. I loved it there. And I had a chance after that one season to coach a kid named Tiki Barber. And,
I heard he's pretty good.
He did something, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he did a few things. Yeah. So I left West Point and I went to the University of Virginia. I was there for 5 years, George Welsh's last 5 years. When that job ended, I ended up at the University of North Carolina.
Hey, Tar Heels, baby. 2001.
Yeah,
that was the low point, coach, right? The low point having to deal with Paul.
Well, there's been several low points through this journey, but I was there for Paul. 6 years, and after that ended, a lot of times these jobs dry up before you're ready for them to dry up. I ended up at Clemson University for 4 years. Then I went to the University of Maryland for 4 years. And I've been at the University of Pittsburgh. This is going to be my 9th season.
That's a long time for a coach to be at a university for 9 years. That's a long stint. You don't see that quite often.
That's right.
I'm going to tell you what, as somebody who did 20 years in the military, you have moved around way more than I have.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Like, holy cow.
Jobs. Yeah. Between jobs and I've owned a lot of boats, and I've owned a lot of houses.
Yeah, that's a lot of moving. I don't think people realize how much you got to move when you're coaching like that. Like, that's a lot.
That's not too unusual, particularly when you're young, because this business is such word of mouth advertisement, fraternity. A lot of times you get jobs because of people you know. So it's recommended when you're young to be able to pull up and move, just to build that base. But as you get older and you start having kids, moving kids is not easy. You get a kid, when we went to Maryland, my son was a freshman. He was going into a sophomore year. That's when they started having girlfriends and real friends. That was tough. And then when we left Maryland and went to PITT, my daughter's about the same, but she, just finishing her 10th grade year.
Yeah.
So those are hard moves. Then you start thinking about, hey, we got to sell a house. You got to buy a house. You got to prep a house. I don't know how many houses you sold, but prepping a house, getting it ready. You get a call from the realtor. Hey, somebody wants to see the house. Now you got to wipe everything down, make sure the dishes are clean, make sure the beds are made, get out of the house, come back an hour later. And my wife did a great job with that because I'm not around a whole lot. But those are all things that coaches do.
And on that too, you're trying, if you're selling a house, you're trying to buy one to where you're going as well. And not to mention all the stuff that you got to do, time of year, you making those changes in the winter and in the summer. And then you're also trying to do all the football stuff and get together with all the coaches. I mean, there's a lot going on in that.
That's why you got to have a strong wife, independent wife that can do those things. And then the other thing that coaches love is the double mortgage. When you have to buy a house and you hadn't sold the other one. That's always fun, yeah.
And contrary to popular belief, college coaches don't, but besides maybe being the head coach, college coaches ain't making the money that people think you make.
I was about to say, some of them are making the money.
You ain't making millions like some of the folks out here.
Not many people making millions, but anymore, if you're a Division I coach, you're making a pretty handsome salary.
Yeah.
But you work for it. I mean, people say, "Hey, what are you doing in the off season? Were you golfing or what?" I mean, we played the UCLA in the bowl game. You look back at, you go that game was on December 28th. Now you go back to training camp, which started in August. You're talking about having 4 days off from August to December 28th. And then you come back and you got a couple of days off, like 3 days off, and recruiting starts again. So recruiting goes through a cycle. You have signing day, and then you have to start looking at what you did last year, what worked, what was not good, what was good. Start looking forward to the players you have, how you gonna play in your season, the opponents. You study other teams, you study pros, try to figure out what's good, what's not good. And then you start spring practice, and right after spring practice is spring recruiting. And then the month of June now, June used to be a pretty casual month, but anymore, you can have official visits. So you start having official visits, you start having camps, when all the high school kids come in. And then during the week, you're working with your players. We're allowed to have meetings. We're allowed to have a little bit of time on the field with them. So as it turns out, the month of June, which used to be kind of casual, we actually worked every day in June, with the exception of like our vacation starts like June 26th or something like that. Other than that, every day in June we work.
I've got
Coach,
go ahead, Paul.
Go ahead, Alex. No, you go ahead.
Hey, yeah, I want to dive right in because I feel like it's probably super important. I want to know what your kind of take or your role in. You're dealing with young men that are coming into this college scene, right? With potential to make life-changing, generational changing money.
Sure.
Like how much are you involved, not just with the X's and O's, but also with the growing up? Because I mean, I'm sure that's got to be some of it, right? Like as somebody who was in the military, I'm not dealing with life-changing money, but I had to help groom people to be better people. And I'm sure there's there's a lot of crossover on your end.
Well, we have a program at PITT called Life Skills, which is a 4-year program where they teach our athletes how to manage life. You know, how to deal with interviews, how to deal with, you know, your savings account, you know, how to dress, you know, dining etiquette, all those things. All right. Trying to prepare them for the workforce, because the bottom line, you know, only a handful of those kids are going to make that life-changing money. Other than that, we spend lots of time, and well, let me say this, I can only speak for myself, mentoring kids. In fact, when I first got to the ACC in 1996, really my life goal was to be a head coach or coach in the NFL, right? And of course, those opportunities didn't quite cross my path. But as I've gotten older and I start seeing kids that I coached 15 years ago, and they show up and they start saying, "Coach, man, I really appreciate how you treated me, how you helped me," and so that's really become my calling, mentoring young kids. In fact, Sunday I'm fishing with a former player of mine who I have not seen since 1996. Yeah, so.
I mean, that's awesome, right? Like to be able to like put your be able to help somebody like that, right? And then this, however many years later, they want to come back to see you again.
Yeah, yeah. You know, the thing that eats at guys like me is the ones you couldn't reach, the ones that had real potential. You know, real nice kid, but just couldn't quite get in gear, and then they leave your program and you see they ran off the road at some place, and they just, all they had to do was just take heed. So the real deal is, you know, each coach, when they recruit, you know, we don't recruit. I don't just recruit running backs. I recruit an area. So let's say I'm recruiting a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. You know, we take responsibility on not recruiting a bad kid and put in someone else's room. Everyone has to manage their room, right? And so that's really important. But inevitably, we get kids that have some bad backgrounds. I'm not talking about like criminal backgrounds, but I'm talking about tough situations, no dads, you know, poor, you know, just some bad situations. And so you try to help them navigate some of the things that I didn't navigate very well, and try to keep them from stepping on some of the same grenades I stepped on. And sometimes they get it and sometimes they don't, and they step on those same hand grenades.
That's tough. Right?
I guess you don't step on a hand grenade.
No, I mean, that's that's tough. I totally get that. Like I've worked with kids, and like I've worked with kids in the military. I grew up not in the best scenarios, right? And I didn't grow up in the best scenarios either. And then when I try to push them to the right scenario and it doesn't work out, it's like, man, it's like a loss of potential where you're like, you could have righted this track, right? And I can't even imagine on the other end too, though, when you're talking about sports with what you're dealing with, because literally we're talking about if somebody is really good at football, you have the potential to make generational changing money. And when they get in the way of themselves, it's like, damn, that's such a sad loss.
Yeah. And sometimes generational money may be just graduating from college, getting a good job.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, nope, 100%. You're true. Yeah.
So I've been around guys that have, you know, made millions of dollars. I mean, millions. Yeah. But some of those kids, all they had to do was just do the right thing, graduate, and get a good job and have a good career. And, you know, they weren't able to pull it off.
Yeah.
All they had to do was not kick an 8-yard punt on national television.
Well, you can still have a good career after that.
Yeah, but no, Paul's here. This is his career now. He hit an 8-yard punt, and now he's on everybody's weekly distraction from quality podcasts.
So, Coach, we got your journey through football that's brought you to here with football. What does it look like with fishing? When did you start? When did you get into fishing? and how did you progress to where you are now? Because even so your and our relationship started in 2001, so we're 22 years ago. I mean, you old. I'm old, but you older. That's a long ass time ago.
That's a minute.
But
That's a minute.
Disrespectful.
Yeah, it's been a couple. But
Yeah.
how did you get into fishing, and how did you get into, so you don't have a lot of time to fish, but you still find time to fish the BFLs and these regional trails, which we'll talk about the regional trail you're fishing now. When did all the fishing journey start?
Well, so I live in the country now. So just to put it in perspective for you, my house is approximately 25 miles from a red light. Okay. So I always tell people.
Hold on, real quick. That's the best way to describe how country your house is you describe the miles from a red light.
Yeah.
That is the new standard for now on.
Alex,
So,
Mark, time
Yeah.
stamp.
Yeah. That's the new standard for time.
So I always tell people I graduated 13th in my graduating class in high school, and they go, "Wow, you were pretty smart." Well, the disclaimer is there were only 25, so I didn't quite crack the top 50%. So living on the farm and living with my dad. My dad's a worker. I mean, my dad is he just got in off the farm just a couple minutes ago. He's 91 years old. He was been working on the farm today. So on the weekends when all my friends were at the mall going to the movies, dude, I was working. I was planting corn. I was moving cows, and so my dad would excuse me off the farm for several reasons. If I was going fishing, but I had to bring him home because my dad loves fish, and we live on the river. Right. If I had a ball game, or if I was going hunting, those were pretty much the three. Or I had, something at church going on. So those were the criteria. And if I didn't have that going on, I was just working. So I would jump at every opportunity to go down to the river and go fishing because that would get me off the tractor and I could go down there and get a bucket of worms or a bucket of minnows or sweet bait. You ever heard of sweet bait, Paul?
Man, I ain't never heard no sweet bait. Now you're going to learn me something.
I was about to say, Coach was already smart to not even ask me. He's like, this guy's way too northern to know about sweet bait.
His Yankee ass don't know nothing about no sweet bait.
So sweet bait's a larva that you catch in creeks. You go down the creek and you find like big clumps of leaves and rocks, and you go downstream and you put a seine in the water and you flip over the rocks and they float down to get your net. Anyway, them and helgamites. You seen a helgamite?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Godamites.
Wait. I want to go back to the sweet bait. Are you? Hold on. So it's just whatever floats down the river? Or is it like a big grub?
No, it's a small bait. It's white and it looks like a little grub, but we call it sweet bait.
All right.
So from there, we just fished the fish. I mean, and I remember I had a buddy of mine who liked to bass fish, and he would take me fishing. I really didn't get the whole deal with dragging a worm and all that. But anyway, so when I get to Indiana, as it turns out, the guy that recruited me, Floyd Keith, was a bass guide on Lake Monroe in Bloomington. And that's the first time I had the opportunity to see a guy, at that time, use his depth finder, use marker buoys, fish offshore, fish river channels, points, because we were always throwing at something. And so I left there and I just caught the bug to bass fish and, would fish at every opportunity from the shore. Just any chance I had an opportunity. And then as I got a little bit older and got my first boat and joined the club and started fishing competitively in clubs and North Carolina, the BFLs and Fishers of Men and whatever I can fish, like Anglers Choice Tournament this weekend. I fished a big bass tournament last weekend. Just whenever I have time to go compete. And, I just try to take advantage of it.
And so you, when did you get into the big bass boat scene and start fishing the tournaments? When did that happen?
Well, let's see. When I left Rhode Island and moved to West Point, I bought a little small, it was called a glass stream. It was like a 16-foot aluminum boat with a 70 Johnson on it. and had one live well. And I fished a few tournaments on Lake Anna over in Virginia. And then I found myself in a bass cat. And I just started fishing Tuesday nighters, Wednesday nighters, And then I moved to North Carolina, ended up in another boat, started fishing the Tuesday nighters, started fishing BFLs. Then Clemson, it just kept getting bigger and bigger. You move, you get a little bigger boat, and you get a little nice, you get a little better electronics, and you start fishing with some nicer poles, and you start fishing with different guys. And the big thing is, from place to place, the fishing is totally different. For example, when I lived in Virginia, I probably caught 90% of my fish on the jig. You move to North Carolina, fish the same lakes, Carr Lake, Lake Gaston, you catch 90% of your fish on the crankbait. You move to Clemson, you're fishing Spotted Bass Lake, you catch 90% of your fish on top water lures. Now you move to Pennsylvania, you're catching 90% of your fish on drop shots and Ned rigs. So you get out.
I was gonna say cast nets because that's the only way you can get them to bite.
I'll tell you what, that little body of water up there called Lake Erie.
Yeah.
That little pond, Lake Erie.
I'm thinking of the other end of Pennsylvania. I'm close to Philadelphia, so I was thinking you either catch them on fentanyl dipped Ned rigs or a cast net.
Well, that Susquehanna River.
Oh,
it's
Lord.
gnarly.
Boy,
yeah.
In the kayak world, we know the Susky because we have tournaments up there and they wear the damn fish out up on the Susky.
Shout out real quick to Jake. If you're still listening to the show, I'm going to continue. I'm going to look right into the camera for it. You are a national treasure, and we will protect you always.
Coach, on the fishing side, you worked with a couple guys that are fishing MLF now when you were at Clemson, and you helped, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, but you helped with Clemson's fishing team back when you were at Clemson University, right?
Yeah, they started the team off the faculty rep when they started the team. They had some really good fishermen. I became good friends with Brian Latimer. Now, Brian Latimer was older.
Who's that? Who?
Brian Latimer, B-Lat.
Oh, no, I'm just joking. We all know who the hell he is. Holy cow. I cannot believe you said that name, to be honest.
Yeah,
Holy
pretty good friends with B-Lat.
Yeah.
Now, he wasn't on the team. His little brother was on the team. And B-Lat's dad's probably the best fisherman in the family, by the way. His dad's
hot take.
But I got to know him real well. I learned a lot of things from him, particularly for fishing a jig and spoon down there in January. Then through him, I met Mark Daniels. Prior to that, a couple of names you probably don't know. Robert Pearson was a FLW pro. I became good friends with a guy right there in North Carolina. God, I can't call his name right now. He just moved up to Lake Gaston. Oh, my gosh. I'll think of his name. Great guy, FLW pro. And then along the way, I forged some good relationship with some lure companies. Pratco is probably the biggest one that I have the best relationship with. Oakley, and then G. Loomis. So along the way, I've made some pretty good friends.
How was helping a college fishing team? How did that relate, or how did that compare to coaching college football? Because when you were at Clemson, because when you were at Clemson, y'all had some damn good ass teams. You coached James Davis and CJ Spiller at Clemson. Y'all had some good ass teams when you were at Clemson.
Spiller, was he good? Was Spiller good?
Well, being the faculty rep being the faculty rep for the bass team, it was really a rubber stamp. They needed a faculty rep to start the team. Now, one of the guys that was on the team lived down the street from me. He had a bass boat and he had a center console boat. So we sank a lot of brush together. But in terms of coaching the team, traveling with the team, zero. But that Davis fella and that Spiller fella, they're pretty good players and good
Thunder
kids.
and Lightning.
Thunder and Lightning. And there were some other good kids. I mean, Andre Ellington was a heck of a
Oh,
player.
yeah.
Jamie Harper, very talented player. So I've had some good players there.
All right, so tell me this then. So you're buddies with and have fished with some folks that are in a professional angler. They're at the
Yeah.
top of the game. And
Yeah.
then you've coached football players that have played in the NFL and been unbelievably great NFL players. What is the what is what are the things that you see that correlate between the two, right? What the great anglers that you've been around, the great football players you've been around,
Yeah.
how does that relate? What are the intangibles that you see there?
Hold on real quick before we get to that, Paul. And I hate to interrupt this. This is the best Oprah question you've ever given. Like, this is the pinnacle of your podcasting career. Like, you put it all together just behind the scenes for everybody. He put it all together. This is the most Joe Rogan, Oprah Winfrey question he could give. And it's a great question. I just want to make sure that Paul gets a recognition for this question. It's solid.
Those great players and those great fishermen, they have IT. They got it.
What's IT?
There's a lot of things. Like CJ Spiller, for example. I could teach TJ a lot of things, but the one thing I could not teach him is how to run fast. That's DNA. He came in the door with that.
Yeah.
Mark Daniels. He's got it. He knows where to look. He knows where they should be. He knows what they're going to eat. James, Tiki Barber. He made cuts that was unbelievable. Now, here's what they do. They work at it. Those guys that are professional fishermen that are at the top of their game, they eat, sleep, fishing. And I try to tell young guys when it comes to football, being a good football player is a career, which is a lot different than a job. So, for example, let's say you deliver mail, work for the U.S. Postal Service. Great job.
Shout out Amandy.
Yeah, great benefit.
My wife.
His wife's a postal worker. She delivers the mail.
Yeah, but if you compare that to a doctor, I'm just going to assume if you're a doctor or you're a lawyer, when you get home at night, you spend a percentage of your time researching, talking to your counterparts about different techniques and whatnot. And that's the difference. So football players are required to be in our office, in our facility, so many hours a day. But so often it's the time spent over and beyond required time, studying tape, taking care of your body, resting properly, stretching, looking at video. We always send our kids, like if we practice tomorrow, all the plays that we're going to run tomorrow are scripted today. And I was sending them that script tonight. And so you can always tell kids that have looked at the script because they come to practice, they come to meetings prepared. They have questions. They've written down questions. What does this mean? I see we're running. We're going to do this in period 3. I'm not familiar with this. Wonder if this happens. What's the quarterback going to say? Those are kids that are well prepared, and those are the things that help you elevate your game.
All right. So when you go fishing, hold on, Paul. I got it. When you're fishing, though, so you're talking about a super regimented schedule, right? And you're
right.
Which you need to be for these football athletes. Do you carry that on in your in how you fish? Like, are you super regimented into it?
Yeah. Well, here's I don't have the time to do all those, that extra time. So what I do throughout the season, I study fishing by YouTube videos. I'm watching to see what's trending when the water's in the 40s, and I'm trending to see what crankbait is the best. What jerkbait the guys catching them on, and then it's like a game plan for me. Like, we go into a game, we know what we're going to do on third down and medium, we know what we're going to do in the red zone, and for me, based on the water temperature, time of the year. I know where bass should be. So, like, I'm going to be on Jordan Lake Friday, and I've got probably a dozen places where there should be bass, and I've got a pretty good idea of what they should be eating. So I will go to those places. I will, search with my depth finder. I would try to make good casts, put the bait where it's supposed to be. If there's a brush pile, there's something. So I'm just going on years of experience from my experience and pros experience.
But you still put in the work in on the other end, which I like.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll be guys out there, young guys that, so for example, I came back and fished a term. I left Carolina after the 2006 season, right? I came back about 2014, maybe 2014, 2015, and fished a tournament. Hadn't been on Jordan Lake since 2006.
Mm-hmm.
I went through the same places, checked the same spots, caught 24 pounds in the tournament, right?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't have done it. I didn't lose. I did lose one fish. Maybe it could have helped me, maybe not. So that's the same game plan. I know where they should be. And then I always try to find an area or two that's a little subtle, that a lot of people may overlook. And I know it'll be guys with fancier equipment and they got more recent time on the water. But I'm just going to try not to, like at a football game, there's certain things that make you lose games, turnovers, penalties, things of that nature. So in fishing, it's losing fish, equipment that's not working, wasting time. And I'm just going to try to do those things and fish clean and let the chips fall where they may.
Listen, you've covered that perfectly. And I think it covers fishing and football perfectly, where just don't follow Paul's advice. So don't watch his YouTube because you're never going to catch fish. And then he was a failed punter as well. So listen, I think you're in the right realm.
I don't put enough YouTube out there to do that. But on this, one of the things we've talked about this on the podcast, and we've had not arguments, but some hot takes on here about, you hear folks say, well, if I had the time and the money, I could be just as good as Kevin Van Dam. You hear that all the time. You don't hear anybody go, you don't hear anybody go, well, if I had the time and the money, I could be as good as Tiki Barber running the football. To me, it is the same thing. There are intangibles with the people who compete at the highest levels of their sport. There are intangibles in there that only 0.001% have. That's why what is it, 0.01% of college athletes make it to the NFL. And the NFL stands for not for long. The average lifespan is 3 years. Now with fishing, you get the same thing. The worst angler on a circuit is as good as 99% of the other anglers out there in the world. I mean, it's a whole different. I think it's mental. From your perspective, what is the mental? Is because you can say that there's not a physical aspect to fishing, that there is, but I think the majority of it is mental.
A lot of it's mental. You got to make good decisions, right? You got to make good decisions. You got to be able to grind through some bad weather. If it's windy, if it's 10-mile-an-hour wind, it's not just blowing on you; it's blowing on everybody else. So you just got to grind through some of those things. But I look at it kind of like the tires on the bus, right? The back tire is never going to catch the front tires. You can accelerate, and you accelerate. The back tire is never going to catch the front tire. And so, like Van Dam, for example, I could fish until I was 60. Well, let me get another age. That's not too far away. I could fish till I'm 80. And I'm probably not going to be as good as Van Dam because he's got so many years ahead of me already. And some of those guys, are really good. I mean, Jacob Wheeler's good. Mark Daniels good.
Jacoby.
Huh? Yeah.
Jacoby
Wheeler. Don't
They're
listen to
just
him.
really good. They win a lot. But if you look at like the guys that win, I mean, every now and again, I mean, you just park your boat on a pile of fish. I mean, I fished tournaments where I knew I got beat by my co-angler on Carr Lake one time, and it was the most prepared I've ever been for a tournament. The most prepared. I knew where they were. I knew what brush piles they were on. I threw about 4 different baits in practice. The only bait I caught them on was a black jig. And in the tournament, my co-angler caught them on a green jig. And I couldn't catch them. And I was the most prepared. I knew I was going to win that tournament. But it's been other tournaments when I went up there and didn't have good preparation. And I just happened to park my boat on a pile of fish. And unfortunately, there's more people that don't park on a pile of fish than park on them. And so, and every now and again, you're one of those guys that hadn't won, and all of a sudden it's your day. It's your day, and you find them, and they eat what you're throwing. So, it's
there's a lot to say though about putting yourself on those fish. Like there's that, sure, can it be pure luck that you find those fish? Yes, but in general, you're taking knowledge and experience to where the fish should be, and putting yourself in those positions to be successful. Now, that's one thing with comparing it to football and fishing. You have to execute on both, but in football, we ain't dealing with an animal. We ain't dealing with a fish, something that we can't see and that we don't really understand. In football, we have to deal with the elements. But there's still something to say about putting yourself in a position to catch fish, because I'm going to say it, Alex. I'm going to say it.
Oh,
our
how
good
you just
buddy
popped in on this one, right?
Buck Perry says you can't catch fish where fish ain't. So if you're fishing where there ain't no fish, you ain't going to catch shit. And then Edwin Evers said it too. He said, look, a perfect cast where there ain't no fish ain't as good as a bad cast where there are fish.
Right. That's right. And on those same lines, and I just forgot what I was going to say about that.
This Bass and Brews, welcome to. You are a Bass and Brews alum at this point. You're going to say something and forgot.
It was pretty good too. It was pretty good.
We'll keep thinking about it. We'll get it back.
It'll come back.
There we go.
Yeah.
Did your hold on? No, I'm gonna pivot back to the football side. Did your how you handled your football leadership style as a coach that differ when you're at West Point than when you went to like something soft like Clemson or something like that?
No, you know what? The kids at West Point allowed me to coach like my inner self.
I was about to say, because they're military cadets, right? Like they're willing to take the beating, right?
They didn't take the beating. They dealt the beating. They had a saying, you may win, but we will beat you.
Oh, I love it. No, yeah, that's solid. Yeah.
So these kids were the absolutely toughest kids that I've ever been around. No task was too hard, and they went so. And that's really my real personality. At least it was then. But as you get older, you realize you can do things more efficiently. Like I don't like to yell at kids. Now I can yell and cuss. I can yell and cuss with the best of them. But
I got yelled and cussed at. We'll tell that story later.
But I really would just like to do a great job coaching and a great job motivating kids and get them to understand what we need them to do and them go do it. My first game at Virginia, you guys probably never heard of the name George Welsh, but George Welsh was an older fellow. He's deceased now. He was a Hall of Fame first ballot coach, and it was really his personality was a real grumpy guy, not very happy. So our first game, I was waiting on him to come out there and just give the team the old Gipper, And I'm going to give you his pregame speech word for word. He walked out there and he goes, "You guys ready?" They said, "Yes, sir." He goes, "All right, let's go."
Perfect.
And so later I asked him about it. I said, George, I was really expecting something a little different. He said, "If you got to motivate them, you got the wrong ones."
Oh, shit.
So, but I do think you have to motivate them. But motivating them isn't always giving them some rah-rah. Motivating them is giving them the information that they need to win with.
Yeah.
Teaching them the fundamentals that they need to win with. Making them aware of all the scenarios and all the situations. And now they feel like they have physically and mentally, they have a chance to go out and win. And now, again, if it's a chronic issue, a guy's chronically late for meetings or missing class, sure, he can get cut in a minute. He can get ripped up in a minute. But I would prefer to have guys that have a little bit more motivation than that.
I love it. Man. That's
on the and so now in the last 5 or 6 years, college fishing has really taken off.
Mm-hmm.
It's been there for a long time. I remember NC State when I was in college in the early 2000s and we were together, had a good bass fishing team.
Mm-hmm.
But you were too busy being on the Glee team.
Yeah. Nobody asked you, Shawty. But the college fishing now is a whole different level. I mean, it's not so let's be clear with this too, folks. College fishing is a club sport. There's no NIL deals for college fishing, none of that bullshit. It's not football, basketball, baseball, it's none of that. It is a club sport. But what we see now is we see these college kids being able to make it to the classic and being able to do that. Coaching a fishing team now probably has a lot of the same mentality of preparation as it does in football, you think, huh?
Well, I don't know. And Jeff Thomas is the guy from Raleigh that I couldn't think of. That was an FLW pro, and he mentors the NC State team. Jeff Thomas. He lives up on Lake Gaston now. I don't know how those guys go about mentoring or coaching those guys. Pitt had a bass team when I first got there. It disbanded because it wasn't real big. Only a handful of guys had boats, and they all graduated. And I fished with one of them. He was a really good fisherman. In fact, they finished top 10 in the country one year. But I really don't know how they go about coaching those kids or any of that stuff. Really, I really don't know.
I don't think that the mental preparation probably be the same as how you mentally prepare your kids to play football.
I think it takes some mental preparation. I think it's probably different. And I'm sure they're watching YouTube videos of old tournaments on Lake X or whatever it is. When we're sitting there, we watch, the red zone 10 times. They probably watch the same tournament trying to figure out where that guy catch these fish. They see him run down and let it go. That's mile marker 12. Where's that? And trying to see what, So I'm sure there's preparation. For those guys that are good, I'm sure there's preparation. And I'm sure it's more than I know. But what it is for certain specifically, I'm not sure.
I'm as somebody, all right, total outsider. I'm going to speak in an authoritative manner here. I think it's totally fucking different. There's no way that like a college football athlete and a college bass fisherman, quote unquote, is the same thing. There's no way. There's way different.
I mean, that's just like saying, a pro hockey team will be different than a pro football team.
No. I think actually what you're saying is, no, those are the same teams. I think we're talking about, and we've talked about this, and I'll continue to rage that I think the whole pro fisherman thing is a falsity and it's bullshit.
We are not getting into, Coach. We've had a couple podcasts talking about our pro anglers, athletes. We ain't getting into that bullshit tonight. We ain't doing it. It's the preparation side, though. But Coach just said it, like how they're looking at film of the upcoming game, or they're looking at film for the team they're going to play. Is the same way that anglers are going to look at film from the previous year at the same time on the same body of water.
No, I'm going to call bullshit on that. Like anglers, no. So-called college anglers are looking at film. By that I mean they're looking at dudes on YouTube. They're looking at Guggen Squad or whoever else is fishing whatever. And not to shit on Guggen Squad, but they're looking at whoever is fishing wherever. That doesn't.
So some of those guys, they keep like a log.
Yeah.
And I bet they got a computer log of, if they're going
where
to
everybody else is fish but them.
Well, but no, even them. I mean, they've got waypoints on their GPS. But they're preparing. But what I was going to say a while ago, it just came to me about all the variables in fishing. I really think when you deal with fishing, there are more variables than any other sport. So, for example, you can throw an out route. All right, you can throw an out route, and if the barometric pressure is dropping, it doesn't affect the football.
Yes.
But it affects
unless you're on the Patriots, because it might be less air.
So that's just an example. You start talking about water clarity, water rising, water dropping, wind out of the east, out of the north. Full moon. It's a full moon. Started Tuesday. Quarter
should be
moon,
money for you boys down south.
Waxing moon, waning moon. There's a lot of variables that doesn't really apply to. I mean, if you're golfing, if it's a full moon, I mean, if you're a slicer, you're still gonna slice.
Still gonna slice.
Hold on. There we go.
There it is.
That full moon ain't got shit to do with your slice. It ain't gonna be no better on a new moon or a full moon.
You think golfers prepare by watching other golfers golf the same course?
I don't know. They might actually, but
I mean, not like anglers look at other anglers fishing a body of water. I guarantee it ain't that close.
All right, hold on. So you're saying, do you think golfers look at like anglers do, right?
Well, maybe not that, but they probably have a lot, because I know like they changed the course like for the Masters. I know like the holes are different, so maybe studying other guys may not, but like studying greens. I mean, there's a lot of preparation goes in. I mean,
there's a lot of prep on that.
It's gonna be a lot of prep.
But the prep on the bass side. So I'm going to be a total negative side on this one.
Hold on. I'm going to interrupt Coach Powell. Let me tell. Hold on, Coach Powell. Let me preface what he's about to say and everything he's been saying. He don't tournament fish. All right.
I do.
We talk about a guy that fun fishes. He fishes. He don't tournament fish. Yep. He ain't out there losing money. He ain't worried about his $50 tournament entry fee about winning money. Like he's coming, he's trying to dig into this because he don't tournament fish. So he's trying to conceptualize what it's like to prepare because he don't have to.
No.
So like tomorrow, I'm driving up to Raleigh.
Yeah.
And I did not watch a lot of videos on Jordan Lake because I got a lot of time in on Jordan Lake. However, I've got a lot of time, like this afternoon, make sure I got the right lures tied on, make sure I got fresh knots, right?
Does that make you a pro angler on Jordan?
No. But it would give me a better chance to be efficient during my practice. I want to get one day to practice.
Sure.
I mean, I put all the rods away that I don't think I'm going to use. Yeah. So when I get there, because I'm going to get a couple hours tomorrow. I get a full day Friday, but it's going to rain. And I just want to make sure that all my practice is efficient. And that's a little bit of preparation. Now, to prepare for the big fish tournament we had on Lake Anna, I watched a ton of videos on Lake Anna. A lot of them I've seen several times. And I know that lake. I probably have as much time in on Lake Anna than I do on Jordan Lake. But Lake Anna is kind of like a crazy girlfriend. You know what I mean? When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's really bad.
All right, Coach, let me hypothetically, let me throw this out to you here, right?
Okay.
Let's say on Lake Anna, you win. Are you a pro fisherman?
No.
Okay. What kind of the hell question is that? That's a terrible question.
I think a pro is somebody that does it for a living.
What does that mean? Hold on. So what does that
We are not getting into this pro angling shit again. This ain't happening. This ain't happening, Bo. We ain't getting into it. No, you're not.
This guy's
see, Coach. I told you, me and him go back and forth. We'd be arguing back and forth all the damn time.
I don't claim to be a pro fisherman, but all I want to do is I want to compete.
But Coach has dealt with pro athletes before. Would you consider? Hold on, Coach. Would you consider KVD an athlete?
Would I consider him an athlete, or would I consider being a bass fisherman an athlete?
Nope. That's not what I said. An athlete.
Well, I don't know. I've never seen him play basketball or run.
There you go. There you go. He answers.
I don't know if he's an athlete. Yeah.
But he's
you have to be athletic to be a bass fisherman? Do you have to be athletic to be a fisherman? No, you don't.
No, you're correct.
Do you think John Daly's an athlete?
Nope, I don't.
You have to be athletic. So you don't have to be athletic to be a great golfer.
So everybody hates me for this. Everybody hates me for this opinion, but I also don't think golf's a real sport either. It's a game. That's play with money involved.
Here's what you have to do.
Here's my thing with sport.
Alex, go ahead, Coach.
You may not have to be a great athlete, but you have to be very skilled.
Yes.
There you go.
At the game that you're playing.
Yeah. You got to be very skilled.
Yeah.
Hey,
Coach. And you got to be able to make quick decisions. You got to be sharp mentally. And you have to be skilled.
And for my time around people that have played professional sports or been a professional in anything, it's that gift, that inherent ability to make quick decisions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, tell me. So I got to go fishing with you a couple times when we played, and it's outside of the NCAA rules, I think, because probably at the time we probably broke them by you taking me fishing because the NCAA has some stupid rules. But we went, the first time I ever heard of a wacky rig was when you and I went to Jordan, and you had it was the bubblegum trick worm, because at that point in time there wasn't a stick bait, it was a bubblegum trick worm. And I remember you picking that up and throwing it in. I'm like, what the hell is it? What the hell is this? And you threw it out there and did it. So what I'm leading into, what are your go-to techniques? Like, what are you, and I know it could change season to season, all this and that, but like, what are you going to? What are you picking up?
Well, since I've lived in so many places, I feel comfortable doing a lot of things. I feel very comfortable with a jig in my hand or a creature bait with a heavy sinker and big boy fishing line. Whether I'm flipping bushes or whether I'm flipping grass, I feel very comfortable doing that. On the other hand, I feel very comfortable out on a hump in the middle of the lake with a big old crankbait tied on, right? And then you're not gonna hurt my feelings if it turns into a shaky head game or a drop shot game. If I'm out on Lake Erie and I'm out somewhere outside of Presque Isle Bay, and I got to drop down the 6-pound line and put on a drop shot and find a couple of rocks out about 30 foot of water, I feel comfortable doing that too. So Saturday, it could be a couple of different things. I don't think, at least for me, I don't think I can have success just doing one thing. But on the other hand, I don't think I can have success either doing 4 things. So it's about 2 things for sure that should work for me, and maybe 1 alternative bait. And there's a lot of different ways you can catch them. A-rig, you can catch them. Jerk bait, you can catch them. Crank, you can catch them cranking. You can catch them. I'm at the water temperature in the 60. You should be able to catch them on a wacky rig. You can flip bushes. So there's a lot of different ways you can catch them. But I feel comfortable using several techniques.
Do you use forward-facing sonar at all?
I do use it, but it's not like let me say this. It has been more helpful to me on Lake Erie. When you're but really and truly, when you're on Erie and you go to spot lock and your trolling motor head's going back and forth, it's hard to see them. You can see them.
Yeah.
sometimes you can drop to them, sometimes you can cast to them, and I'll have it on. But sometimes them old boogers, they lay so close to the hug the bottom so tight you can't see them. But it does help. But if you're fishing a grass lake, it's probably not going to help. And a lot of times for me, I'm still, because I only got it last year, right? I got it last year.
Still learning it.
So the biggest thing for me is, okay, I see a fish 30 feet away, casting 30 feet, trying to figure out, because I'll cast sometimes, go, dadgummit, that's 15 feet. And then I'll cast again, and I went past in 15 feet. So, the best
you get irritated with that.
We fully understand you're learning live scope. That's why PITT did so bad last year on the running game.
No. That's not true.
That ain't true at all. Look, I know the last 4 years, Coach Powell done had some ballers.
I'm just joking.
Hey, I promise you, the fishing can go south, but the running game will not.
There we go.
No,
it's gonna go south, but it's gonna go south in the
but
cloud
that
of
running
dust
game's gonna go north.
The running game's gonna get it done.
Me and Paul had the same comment we were trying to say. Yeah.
After Alex insulted our guest,
I just wish that you sent more running backs to the West Coast. So if we could make that happen.
Those guys, they pick them. They got a chance to pick them. Maybe,
listen, man, send them more to the Seahawks, and I'll have you on the show every week.
I've never had a guy play for the Seahawks. Although Russell Wilson, I recruited Russell Wilson, and he tried to commit to us at North Carolina. We didn't take him.
Well,
he's a Wisconsin grad, not an NC State grad. I'll have to say that.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He is the best Seahawks quarterback ever. I know it's different now that he left, and it's whatever, but he's the best. I love that guy. My second daughter was almost named Russell, and my wife, thank God, decided that was not a good name for her.
Yeah, that would have been awkward.
Hey, what kind of boat you running now, Coach?
I got a Ranger Z520. Well,
nice.
All right.
By the way, let me say this. I bought that boat. So 2004, I bought a Skeeter from Angler's Choice up in Martinsville. I had that boat 13 years, and when I got rid of it, I bought this Ranger from those guys. Let me tell you that these guys at Angler's Choice are unbelievable with their service. So I had some motor issues yesterday on Lake Murray, and I'm thinking, this is not good. And so I call those guys at Angler. I'm like, dude, can I bring it up? Now, those guys work on appointment. They're always backed up. He said, Coach, bring it up. So I didn't take it to Martinsville. There's an Angler's Choice dealership in Spindale, North Carolina, which is only about an hour and a half from here. And, man, I took my boat up there this morning. I got there when they got there, and in a couple hours, I'm out. And they got me running, and they didn't have to do it. I mean, they're fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
That's good because you got a couple tournaments coming up. You just fished a tournament last week. We've referenced you got the tournament coming up at Jordan, and then you got a tournament that's on Saturday, and then you got another tournament on Sunday, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
So obviously you can't fish the whole tournament trail series.
Right.
What is it just the competition for you being a college athlete and being a coach? Is it just a competition for you to fish or like why do you continue to just fish in competitions rather than fun fishing?
One of the things in coaching, you always say, I can take mine and beat yours, and I can take yours and beat mine. So I just want to go out there and say, how do I stack up? You guys fish down here all the time. You lived here your whole life. I think I can whoop you. I'm coming down.
Hell yeah.
And that's the way I kind of think of it, Like Lake Anna, again, Jordan Lake. This would be like the third time I fished Jordan Lake since 2006, maybe the fourth time. And I'm planning on winning. I want to win the thing. And then I'm going to Lake Anna the next day. I'm going to win on Lake Anna. That's my mindset, to go win.
Hell yeah.
Swing for the fence. I got nothing to lose, right? So always go. And then again, when you swing for the fences, you strike out a lot, right? so I'm prepared for that too. But I just want to go up there and just try to put myself in position to win. And there's so many games we deal with. You win in the fourth quarter. You win with just a few seconds left on the clock.
Unless Paul's your punter and he only punts 8 yards.
Hey, Coach, speaking of that, you've had a long career. You've coached a lot of people. You probably don't remember this, but I've only had a few moments in my collegiate career where I actually got to play. So Clemson, 2002, we beat the tar out of Clemson at Clemson in 01. Great game. We have them at home. Got a real good team. I get to start. I think I had 2 punts before. They had like 43-yard average over the 2 games I punted.
Oh,
No returns. Yeah, I kicked the 8-yard punt, and I run back the sideline. And my nickname for my buddies outside of football was 8-yard for years. Still is for some. But anyway,
yards.
We roll up. I roll up to the sideline, and I'm pissed off. And Coach goes, "Roberts, what the fuck was that?"
Did I say that?
I don't know, Coach.
Did I say that? Was it me that said that?
You said it. You said it.
Sometimes, coaches ask rhetorical questions, but you know what? That was young in my special teams career.
It was, yeah.
And I've learned that the art of kicking, whether it's kicking or punting, just being off an inch or two can louse up the whole thing. To be a great, just like anything else, to be at the top of your game is so precise. You would think like walking straight, kicking straight. All right, that's where you start. Walk straight, kick straight. You would think that's not a big deal, but very few people can walk and not cross the middle line of their body.
Coach gave the nicest. Coach gave the nicest description of Paul being a failure.
No, man. Hey, you know what, Paul? Here's the deal. Hey, when you try, you fail sometimes, right? The 8-yard punt was a lousy punt, right? Let me ask you this.
It was terrible.
If you would have punted the ball 55 yards on that particular punt, would we have won the game?
Probably not.
No, who wouldn't have, right? And you know what?
No.
You know what? You know why you were punting? Why were you punting? Because we got our butts kicked on offense.
Because Paul couldn't become a quarterback.
Hey, I will say this. The game, a couple games or a few games before, I punted against Syracuse, and it was a little bit of a low punt, and they returned it to the wide side of the field, and I had 2 blockers that were blocking me on the sideline, and and I know I was a punter in college, but in high school I was a quarterback. I played linebacker, so I like to hit people.
Nobody cares.
I had 2 people blocking me, and I ran full speed, knocked the shit out of both of them. Almost made the tackle. I didn't. Luckily, it got called back for holding for somebody else. But I came back, and I remember Coach saying, "We watched film that weekend. Coach, look at that. Something on that side." But that again, it goes back to inches mean something. I think that's the same thing in fishing too. A bad cast, inch off. That could change stuff. It could change.
I love how Paul is trying to transition this into an inspirational thing for bass fishermen when he made an 8-yard punt.
Hey, Alex,
he tries to hold on. You try to shit on me for my size, but you made an 8-yard punt and try to say you're a collegiate football player. So you know what? For the whole Bass and Brews community, fuck you.
You have to be very skilled. Maybe you weren't a great athlete, but very skilled.
He was not a great athlete, obviously.
Hey, Coach, we're gonna start wrapping this up, but I got a couple other things for you on this. We appreciate you coming on. What does your tournament scene? When does it end? When are you done for the year and you're back to full-time coaching?
Well, I'm full-time coaching the whole time.
You know what I mean, though. You know when
Well,
does the fishing end? When can you no longer fish again?
You know what?
When does that come up?
About the middle of July, I get to the point where I don't want to go fishing.
Yeah.
I really don't want to go, right? And really, so that I'll say that. And then what I'll do is, we practice in the mornings, all right? So, like, we come off the practice field at like 11:30 in the morning. We're done with practice. Now, there's meetings up all the way up until the wee hours of the night. But on Thursdays during the season, normally around 1 o'clock, I'll leave the office. So about once a month, I would get the boat because I live right on the Ohio River, or close to the Ohio River. I'll get the boat. Me and my wife will go for a boat ride. And on occasion, I'll pick out a bait. By the way, in September and October, a spot bait on the Ohio River is fire.
Juice.
Normally, that's why I go so hard now. And fish try to scam all this fishing in because I've been cooped up all summer. I drove through you cannot believe the snowstorm I drove through Friday getting to Lake Anna last Friday. So I go hard in February, March, and I got a couple things in April. I got a thing or two in May. Excuse me, when I'll be down on the Potomac. I recruit the DC area. Mm-hmm. So, like if I'm going to be down there for 2 weeks recruiting, I'll take the boat and I'll fish on Saturday or Sunday and leave my boat at a friend's house, recruit there all week, and then fish the tournament. So, but
all right, we the only scripted part of this whole podcast is coming up next, but I have one last question before we get to this. I'm going to put you on the spot now. I can guarantee ain't none of these folks listening to this podcast.
Oh shit!
Who is the most fun? Who is the most fun player you've coached?
The most fun?
The most fun player you coached. The one that you just got excited when they touched the ball or they hit the field. Who's the most fun player you've coached?
I'm going to tell you, I'm going to call out a name you've never heard of this guy. His name was George Aston.
What the hell happened to him, man?
A walk-on maniac.
Yeah, what happened then?
From Northwest Virginia. He made our whole offense go. He could block anybody. He didn't back down. He played special teams. So what happened to him? He played fullback. Fullbacks really don't get drafted.
Fuck. You play fullback, you get fucked.
But he was more than a fullback. He was an H-back. He played on all special teams. Maybe one of the greatest college all-around players I've ever been around.
Man.
And I love this guy because he was a complete axe murderer. And
who was that? Who was that? What team?
Pitt.
Pitt. Okay.
You know who he was? So here's how I can tell you who he was.
Pitt, the wrong side of Pennsylvania. That's what he's trying to say.
He was a miniature hedgecock.
Okay.
Oh shit. So
hedgecock may be second. All right.
Oh yeah.
But this kid,
I love me some hedgecock.
He wasn't as big as Hedgecock. Probably a better player, but not as big, more athletic. And his year to go pro was during COVID, 20. And so they didn't keep all those free agents that were normally, you make a team in training camp. They didn't keep all those kids around because they didn't want, too many opportunities to catch COVID. So he didn't make a team. But he was a kid that when I'm telling stories about what I want to get done in my meeting, it's normally guys like George Aston, Hedgecock, Daryl Medley, Steve Carpenter. Steve Carpenter, right, by the way, is what played for me at West Point. He just got his first star in the Army. He's the leader of the 1st Cavalry in Fort Hood, Texas. Yeah.
Fort Hood.
So, yeah.
Awesome.
All right,
man. Well, we're getting down to the scripted section. I'll let Alex take it away until he forgets half the questions, and then I've got the list up so I don't miss them.
Fuck off.
So what are we doing?
Listen, here it is.
Alex,
this is called Shut Up, Paul. This is listen, Paul. I'm tired of this. I know it's gone for a while, but now you're bucking up on like you think you can own this section. This is my section.
You
Anyways,
forget the question, so I have to own up.
Shh. Paul, I'm trying to figure out how to mute you at this point. I can't figure it out. But anyways, this is the Bass and Brews shotgun round. We're going to give you a rapid fire set of questions.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep. And listen, you're not on election. There's nothing like that. We want your right away answer to this question.
Okay. All right.
It's one word. It's yes, no's, this or that.
Yes.
It's one word right off the
Okay.
top of the head. No thinking.
Paul,
And we might chastise you if we don't
Paul,
agree with the answer. Go
Paul,
ahead,
I
Alex.
hate you right now.
Quit saying my name. Go ahead.
Coach,
Yes.
wacky or Texas rig?
Texas.
Okay.
No,
We'll take it.
interesting. thought really going
Crocs or flops?
Flops.
Oh no, man! Come on now. You see, you can tell you don't kayak fish because kayak fishers can't wear no flops because when they try to get the
Yeah.
boat off the ramp, the feet are slipping off because the
Mhm.
flops are all
Mhm.
wet.
Now listen.
They-
Hey, I've got some nice croc flops though, by the way. I'm serious.
All right. On the way to the lake, are you a hype music or slow jams?
Probably hype.
All right.
All right, so we got some age difference here. What's your definition of hype music? What we listening to?
That's old school. LL Cool J, Kumo D.
Okay, there we go.
Method Man.
that's normal hype music for me and Paul. I feel like. It's definitely classics for some of our viewers.
It's classics for all of us. We're all old.
I get it.
All right. Are you gonna spend more on a reel or a rod?
I'm sorry.
Are you gonna spend more on a reel or a rod?
Rod.
Ooh. That's a different one.
Interesting.
Okay.
I like that. Is there a particular rod?
You know what? So I was on the G Loomis pro staff back when I was at Virginia, right?
You're a pro.
Well,
staff.
yeah. Well, so I've got like 7 or 8 old G Loomis poles. I got 2 cranking sticks, couple worming sticks, like a rattle trap jerkbait rod, and people are always trying to buy them, right? And so I've looked up the prices. Like some of those rods are now like $450. So lately I've experimented with some Tatula rods. I like the bait casting and spinning, and so also recently I've kind of experimented with some A-rigs and some giant swim baits.
Yeah,
and I didn't want to invest in an expensive rod for a bait that I might not like. So I got a couple of big Powell rods that I like. Yeah.
All right.
But if I had to pick one rod, G-Lums.
There we go.
That's fine. All right. You're out there, right? You got 4 hours out on the water. Right? That's all you got. 4 hours.
Okay.
Would you rather have 5 2-pounders or 1 7-pounder?
Am I fishing for money?
No, I didn't say
it don't
that.
matter. You got 4 hours on the water.
Don't be a
4
politician.
hours.
We talked about this, Coach.
Well, I'm probably gonna take the one.
There we go.
You're gonna take the one? My man.
1 7.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hey, pineapple.
Now you do know those 5 2-pounders would be 10 pounds, and it would be the 7-pounder in a tournament. But
Yeah. We hold on.
But this
Coach,
is just a 4-hour time period on the water.
Okay.
Though. You know, we
also
ain't,
total side point. Coach is the only one to call that out. Yes, we get it, Coach. But that's why we do a podcast and we give this question. That's
your
literally
1 7-pounder would weigh almost as much as my 8-yard punt.
No, it would be less. No. Coach is the only one to a net. He's the only one to break that down properly.
All right. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Why not? Sure.
Oh man,
I guess if you're up in the Northeast, New England, whatever
been
that any
everywhere.
area of the country,
It-
he has been everywhere.
It's got to have some sausage on it too,
Okay.
not just pineapple.
Listen, speaking of eating and meat, have you ever eaten beaver? What?
I'm gonna say no.
But
Okay.
you for South Carolina, you ain't ever ate beaver. You 25 miles from the
So-
next stoplight.
So this is Bass and Brews. I really don't know where this is going with the eating beavers.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Where are you gonna go?
I've never eaten those things in a pond with the big tail that builds dams. No. Raccoon, squirrels, rabbits, absolutely.
Hold up. All right. Side note. Coach, we at practice. I don't remember what year it is. We at practice. And at this point in time, you know me. You look at me, Roberts, you know how to skin a squirrel? I'm like, yeah, man, I know how to skin a squirrel. He's like, I bet I could skin a squirrel faster. And I was like, I don't know about this. I skin a squirrel so fast, I bet if I patent it, it would be patented. You remember?
7 seconds.
I don't remember that. But
7
you
seconds.
said yes.
7
Yes,
seconds.
we had a conversation sitting at practice one day about skinning squirrels, and I'll tell you, the people that were around me and Coach talking when we were talking about that were looking at us like we'd lost our damn minds about skinning
That's
squirrel.
my fastest, but typically no more than 15.
Mm.
Yeah.
15 seconds
that's
to eat a
country.
beaver? Is that what you're talking about? Or squirrels?
What squirrel? Skin a squirrel.
Squirrel. Okay.
Hey, Coach, I know the answer to this.
No.
But I'm going to ask you.
We already
Do you eat
covered it.
largemouth bass?
Yeah.
Do I? Do
Yes.
I eat them? No.
Yeah. What?
No.
Oh my God! I
No.
never would have thought this. I thought you
Well, you know
like largemouth.
You know, I brought my mom like 6 or 7 from Lake Murray yesterday. My parents eat them. I really don't like freshwater fish. Period. Crappie, catfish. I really don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you cook up a big thing of,
Striper or red, all right.
well, I'm thinking more salty. I'm thinking halibut. I'm thinking,
How many halibut do you guys have in the Carolinas?
they got them at the grocery store. Halibut, you start getting some of those, I'm trying to think like red snapper, grouper. Those are the types of fish that I like eating.
All right.
I'm surprised as hell that I figured being from Lockhart, South Carolina, you'd be eating largemouth.
No.
Well, my mama fried up some today that I caught yesterday, but I just you probably thought I like eating beaver too, but I have never. Obviously,
All right,
you
Alex.
thought I ate beaver. I don't like venison.
Huh.
You don't like beaver?
Or venison.
All right, Alex, take the most important question that we're going to ask him tonight away.
Listen, we are the Bass and Brews, the Brewskis, as they're called, are going to judge you the most on this question.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell you right now, this is sunk or raised so many accounts.
Okay.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Every fisherman loves a good sandwich. What are your top 3 sandwich proteins?
Okay. Well, we're gonna start with bologna. Is that a protein?
My man. My man.
Right. Let's start
there. Yes, sir.
And then it's got to be ham.
Yeah.
Right. And then after that, that's turkey.
Bye.
I love it. I love it. See, that's easy. This is, I think, is this the second? It's either the second in a row or second of the last 3 that we've got bologna. Oh, yes, the second in a row. Because bologna,
second in the row.
when you're from the South, you're going to have a bologna sandwich.
Yeah. If you'd asked me this question, if you'd asked me this question about 35 years ago, maybe 40 years ago, I'd have said Spam.
He would have said beaver. Beaver.
I love good old fried spam sandwich with some
Dude,
cheddar cheese.
listen, a fried spam, but we've had off the wall answers like liverwurst. We've also had I know he hates it when I say it, but Bailey, if you're listening this, this far through, spinach. He says
spinach sandwich.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then we also had Delirious. Sandwich. We also had Delirious Angler said his number one protein on a sandwich was cheese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you're fishing and you got to have mayonnaise on your bologna, right?
My man. Yes.
So protein, you had to go that route, but one that's always a staple in the old ice chest is crunchy peanut butter and jelly. But that's not
no, like we've had peanut butter, like that's fine.
But the crunchy, that's different. Yeah. We want the chunks. I got you. Oh shit, Coach dropping stuff.
You dropped my dip can.
All right. Coach. Well, this was awesome, Coach. Hey, look, shout out. You got any sponsors or anybody you want to shout out? Social media, anything like that? Holla at them right now.
Hey, Yum Fishing with Pratco. So I don't know if you're familiar with the company Pratco because it doesn't go by Pratco, but Pratco owns Yum, Excalibur, War Eagle, a lot of different things. I'm going to be throwing some Yum dingers tomorrow. All right. I'm going to be throwing some Excalibur knockers. I'm going to be throwing some half-ounce War Eagle spinner baits. I'm going to be throwing some of those big Excalibur square bills. So those guys have done an unbelievable job. Let me say this: we've had an unbelievable relationship for a guy that's not a pro, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the big deal. And of course, the guys at Angler's Choice on Fishing Angler's Choice Tournament, and those guys have been good to me since 2004 when I bought my first boat from them.
Oh yeah, dude.
Hey, don't forget the PITT Panthers.
PITT.
University of PITT.
It's the wrong side.
All the Brewskis,
it's the wrong side.
All the Brewskis now have somebody to pull for in college football with PITT.
Yeah.
That's right. That's probably
other than Villanova.
Hold on, Alex. Coach was talking. Hold on.
I said Pitt's probably the biggest sponsor. They pay most of the bills.
There we go. Well, thanks, Coach, man. We really appreciate it. It was great having you on. We got some insights into the college football world. I know we could have gone down a lot of stuff like the NIL and some of the crazy shit that's going on with college football now. But hearing your perspective in your fishing journey and you playing college football and then coaching at the highest level is amazing. It was great. We appreciate you coming on, buddy.
All right, Paul. We'll see you, Alex.
Yeah. Hey, Coach, hang on for a minute. Before we move anywhere else, I know it's like cliche. I'm gonna do this whole game where I
Coach, hang on for 1 second.
Hold on, Coach.